A bag of M&M.
Listen up, M&Ms, okay? You're not even the most famous M&M in the world. And let's not forget Mason I's tag team, MXM. M&M, when you meet us in the ring at, I don't know, Great Balls of Fire, we will show to you that as far as a duo of M's are concerned, MXM is the number one in the world.
The Rohan Plus One Show. Welcome to the Rohan Plus One Show. Are you ready for what we have in store today? And you're wondering who this incredible guest I have on the screen is. He's a pro wrestler, he's an international hero, and he's a model. Introducing Mansoor. Mansoor,
Hi, Rohan, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. It's an absolute pleasure.
No, you're welcome. How's 2024 going for you so far?
It's great. I just made my indie debut. I had my first match after WWE. It went amazing at Hood Slam against Dark Sheik. We had a crazy match. We went 20 minutes. I wanted to prove to the world what I could really do, and I feel like I accomplished that, and I'm just getting started. I got more matches coming up this weekend, the weekend after. Actually, for the next 2 months, I'm busy. I'm traveling every single weekend, so I'm excited.
Yeah, no, that's good. And I did see the clip. Like, do because you went back, how was it going back after quite a while, in the ring? How was it?
It was great. I felt right at home. I was nervous at first. I'm always nervous before a match. I always get butterflies, no matter if it's in front of 100 people or 50,000 people. I get the same amount of nerves. So once you get in it, though, once you actually get the match started and you start rolling around and moving, you get comfortable and your stomach settles and you feel like you belong in the ring. So, once I started going and we started moving, I felt really good.
Yeah, and did you feel like any ring rust during that match, or when you were training, getting into it?
It was a little tough adjusting because the WWE ring is so big. When you go back to the Indies, a lot of people have a ring that is actually much smaller. So I think if you watch the match, you can kind of see me like in real time adjust to taking less steps when I run the ropes and having to adjust because you always want to do all your action in the middle of the ring. I had to kind of adjust my steps, but after a while, you get used to it.
Yeah, no, I get that, and I mean, this is just your first match of many, I'm sure about, right?
Yeah, I got a ton more coming up. I'm in New York City this weekend. The week after, that is going to be, I believe, DPW in North Carolina. And then it's going to be Tampa, I think, for GCW. So, yeah, I got a whole lot of shows coming up.
Yeah, nice. Well, it keeps you busy, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, and let's start, with your time in, WWE. Like, what was it like working in that company?
Well, it's quite a range of emotions you feel when you work there. You could be at the top of the world, or you can feel like you're, trapped under ice. Obviously, I'm always extremely appreciative of WWE. They provided me the opportunity to support my family. There's a roof under my daughter and my wife's head because of the opportunities they gave me and the compensation that they gave me. But creatively, sometimes you can feel very stifled. And a lot of times it's not really under your control. And that's what I love so much about free agency and being able to work independent wrestling is that I'm working every weekend because I made that happen for myself. I'm never going to have a weekend off. I'm never going to have a day off unless I want to. And as a workaholic, that's great.
Yeah, no, I get that. And, I guess, being in the indies, you can cut your own promos. You have that creative freedom, right? Like I've seen you've done, your first video where you're, curling the little dumbbell,
Yeah.
you had your daughter in your hand. Like, where do you get these ideas from?
I think about them all the time. I think about them when I'm supposed to be going to sleep. I just lie in bed, tossing and turning, thinking about ideas, whether it's for matches, whether it's for promos. Like when I'm not playing or talking to or taking care of my daughter or when I'm not with my wife, I'm thinking about wrestling. It's pretty much all that occupies my mind. And if I'm watching a movie or a TV show or listening to music, I'm thinking, could this be entrance music? Is this a character I could use as a gimmick for a wrestling? I love it. I love it. It's my entire life. My family and wrestling is pretty much my whole life.
Yeah, no, and I wanted to ask, has having, a daughter played effect, on your wrestling career?
I would say so, definitely. Yeah, it definitely affects some of the opportunities I take because, you have to understand that every weekend I spend away is 2 to 3 days where I'm not with my daughter. And she's growing up and maturing at such an incredible rate. I mean, she's like doing things that are amazing me. Like she's just started to point at little animals, stuffed animals, and making the noise. She points at a monkey. She goes, ooh, ooh, ah, ah. And she hasn't even really begun speaking yet. So that blows my mind, considering only like 7, 8 months ago, she was just like basically just lying there and doing nothing but pooping and crying. So, I want to be there for her first steps. So it's tough. But at the same time, I think about her. I think about how I have to support her. I have to save up for her college fund. And yeah, I also want to have a body of work by the time she grows up that I can show her that she can be proud of. She can say that, her Baba did this, this, and this all over the world. So, yeah, it definitely affects my thinking and my philosophy regarding my career.
Yeah, and I guess it'd be quite cool for her to say, like her dad's been around the world wrestling, it's like a hero. And, like during your run in WWE, what was the schedule like there? Because, I could imagine you're traveling on the road like pretty much every day, right? How
Almost
was the
every day,
schedule?
yeah. Well, it depends on whether or not you're doing house shows because WWE has televised events, and then they have local events that aren't televised. So basically, what those are after you would do a SmackDown, for instance, you would do SmackDown on Friday, and then you would drive to a local town. The next day, you would have a show at that local town. Then after that show, you drive to another town, and you'd have a show at that town. So typically speaking, you have a day of travel, a day of TV, a day of a house show, a day of a house show, and then a day of travel. That's 5 days where you're on the road in some capacity. So you don't have a lot of time to stay at home unless you're just doing TV. If you're just doing TV, it's a day of travel, a day of TV, and a day of travel. So for me, at least, it was on and off. I wasn't always on house shows. For the guys who are super, super high up on the card, they're working almost every single house show loop, so they're on the road all the time. The longest I ever had to spend on the road, I think, was 2 weeks because we did a tour in Europe right after TV. So it's tough, definitely, it's tough. But I mean, that's part of the job. It's part of what we signed up for.
Yeah, and like you went to Europe, what's it like going outside of, the States, going to different countries? What's that experience like?
It's awesome because you get a totally different type of fan. Like the fans in Europe are so passionate and they scream and yell and swear at you. And they like I remember going to Scotland. Me and my partner Mace, we were in a tag team, and we're coming out and we're talking. Am I allowed to swear?
Yeah, go on. That's fine.
We're talking shit to the crowd, and I swear to God, there are these Scottish kids that are going, "Fuck you!" I'm like, "Oh my God!" And I looked at their parents. I was like, "This is what you're raising?" And they're like, "Yeah." So
Yeah.
super cool seeing different places, and we'd have some time to actually go around. Like me and Mace visited a castle in Ireland,
Oh, wow.
and I went to a cheeky Nando's in London, so that was cool.
Yeah.
But not that much time, but enough time at least to kind of test out the local flavors.
Yeah, And what did you think of Nando's when you went there?
It's great. It's better
Yeah.
than anything in America, that's for sure. As far as food quality and like a fast food place goes, I know it's not like actually fast food,
Yeah.
but the fact that you can sit down and get a meal in like 5 minutes is fantastic. Like a decently prepared a chicken dish is hard to find in the States.
Yeah, no, I get that. And, as well as performing in Europe, I know you've been able to like perform in your home country, right, of Saudi Arabia. What's that feeling, like performing in your hometown?
Totally surreal because my father was never a pro wrestling fan. He didn't really want it for me, but he didn't stop me. Thankfully, he wasn't somebody who put a hard line on no, you can't do this. I think my father kind of expected me to fall out of it and eventually do something else. But when I performed for the first time in Saudi Arabia, I think it was the Battle Royal. That was kind of when he went to that. That was the first wrestling show he had been to since he was in college. When he went to a show in Miami where he saw a guy play the Sheik, and he was like, "Ah," and like my dad thought that what wrestling was for a long time. So when he got to see a show in our home country with me as a Saudi talent represented in a positive way, it totally changed his perception of what wrestling was. And as a kid who grew up in Saudi Arabia, who never believed that I would ever get to see a wrestling show, of course, until I moved to the States when I was younger. But when I was living there, I was like, God, I love WWE. I'm just never going to get to see it. That makes me really sad. To know that there are thousands, tens of thousands, and maybe hundreds of thousands of kids who are going to get to do that now, and that I was a part of that, it really warms my heart.
Yeah, I mean that it must be incredible feeling, and I guess like having your family there as well must have been amazing as well, right?
Yeah, actually, after the battle royal, I jumped into the arms of my older brother, Talal, and me and him and my dad were hugging each other. Like if you go back and watch when I win that battle royal, I jump into the crowd and you can see a guy with a big afro. That's my brother. And God, he had tears in his eyes. He was so happy, and
Wow.
that warms my heart. He's the reason I started watching pro wrestling. So it was a full circle moment.
Yeah, because that's not the only match you've had in Saudi, right? You've had the one with Claudio, and then you've had the one with Mustafa, right, as well. Like, what
Yes.
were those two matches like as well?
They were great. I mean, those are two professionals, the best of the best. Cesaro was somebody who did not have to carry me through an amazing match like that, and he took the lead. And he called this match knowing that I was capable of much more than what the company was expecting of me. Most of the people in the company didn't even know that I had ever wrestled before. They thought this was my first match ever.
Wow.
So when I was working through it with Claudio, Claudio was like, "Oh wait, this kid is actually good. Like we can actually do some cool stuff together." So he made it a super exciting and fun match, and I'll always be thankful for him doing that favor for me. And then Mustafa is a guy who is actually like a legit mentor for me. I always call him my work dad. So we were super proud of that match because we didn't have a ton of time, but in the time that we did have, I think we told a really good story and had a really fun match. And that was actually like my first big feud in WWE was the one against Ali. So for us to be able to do that and build to that match over the course of months was super special.
Yeah, no, because I know there was that build up before, like on Raw and stuff, where you were a team, right, as well.
Yes.
And also, as well as, performing in your hometown, like, unfortunately, due to the pandemic, you performed in the Thunderdome, right?
Yeah.
How was that as well?
It hurt.
Yeah,
When you don't have fans there cheering and making noise, you don't really get that adrenaline burst of wrestling in front of a crowd. So every bump, every time I hit the mat, it hurt a little bit more than I was used to. The PC was okay because we had wrestlers acting as the fans. So in a way, it was kind of like putting on a show for our friends.
yeah,
So that was kind of fun. But yeah, when you're missing the fans, you're missing the essence of professional wrestling. It's all about the people who are there watching. So it was tough, but I'm still glad that we were able to entertain people at home, even if it was at the cost of losing a little bit of that energy that people were used to.
yeah. Because I guess when you went back out, it must have been like incredible to see, all these fans back, because that's what makes pro wrestling, right? It's the fans,
Absolutely, 100%.
and like as much, even if they either cheer for you or boo for you, which one do you prefer?
I prefer Boo. So
Yeah,
I'm at my heart, I'm a natural heel. Even though everybody says that's not true, everybody wants me to be a babyface. In my heart, I love being a heel because I don't actually like being the center of attention. I like to create moments for other people. That's why like my ultimate goal in wrestling is actually to be in creative. I want to run a show because I like to make that moment for other people. It's more fulfilling for me as a heel to get heat and be hated by the crowd so that the babyface, my opponent, the good guy, can eventually overcome me and it'll mean more. Like the thing that was so great, I mean, a lot of people didn't like the Maximum Male models, but whenever we did these house show loops, we'd get so much heat from the crowd. We'd cut a promo before the match where we'd say, we're gonna hit our 5 minute pose, and we just stand in the middle of the ring for like 3 whole minutes. The crowd's going crazy, booing, shouting. They're like gonna riot. And then when our opponent's team comes out, when their music hits, they explode. And by
yeah,
the time they hit their finish and end the match, the roof is gonna burst off the place. And that was for a match with a team that was barely on TV. And we were able to make that and create that and build that. And that's the beauty of professional wrestling is that if you're truly unselfish and you understand your role as a heel, then you know you will have done your job when the babyface beats you and the crowd explodes. That's as much for you as it is for the people that they're cheering. And as I'm walking down the ramp back to backstage, as the good guys are holding their arms in the ring, if I can look at the crowd and see them looking at the ring smiling and looking like it's the best moment of their lives, then I will have done my job. And I love that more than being the person in the ring celebrating.
yeah. No, I get that because there was a spot. There's one spot I remember from when you were a model, and you were posing with a skateboard, and then all of a sudden, Strawman's music hits, and your face is just like, oh my god,
Yeah.
and you and you just get like shoved like that. Those expressions that you both had in that team was like it was cool.
Thank you. Yeah,
Like
that was a great segment. We had a ton of fun. We want to do more of that kind of stuff. We thought it would be so perfect to have fashion shows that are interrupted by whoever. It's such an easy way for the crowd to get behind whoever's interrupting our shows because nobody wants to see our fashion shows. So why not have it be done and then have whoever you're trying to get over come out, kick our butts? Bam, we will have done our jobs. Yeah, I had a great time.
And were you expecting him to like really push you that kind of, at that kind of pace? Because you did go flying.
Oh yeah, I went flying. No, I had no idea it was going to be that bad. Because Braun's like a real shit brick house. He's a huge guy, so I thought I was going to get fully turned before he rammed into us, but I got hit from behind. I flew, and Mace, he's not a small guy. He's 6'8", and he was like, "Wow!" He had a lunchbox that had a bologna sandwich that Braun was supposed to pick up and take a bite out of the sandwich, but Mace got hit so hard that lunchbox flew into the crowd, and we never saw it again.
Oh my god, that
Yeah.
that is absolutely crazy. But like also with I know the whole model thing. You did like segments, like that were on YouTube. Like you did like the Christmas. I know you did like the Christmas bit, and you've done like like where you did karate and stuff. Where did those ideas like come from? Did you have some input in those?
Not at all. Those YouTube videos were entirely us. We wrote them, we directed them, we filmed them, we produced them. Our buddy in WWE still, who's in production, Andrew Carr, he edited it, put it together, did the audio, did the filming. And we were not on TV. We had just put over LA Knight. He went from Max Dupree to LA Knight, and then we kind of knew the writing was on the wall for us that we weren't going to get used. So we decided that we were never going to not do anything. We were never going to just collect a paycheck. So we decided to make a YouTube show where every week we put out some videos that put over our characters and sort of endear the audience to us because we weren't on TV. And hopefully if it was good, they'd put it on TV. So we decided every single week we're going to brainstorm, put together ideas and jokes and lines to put these videos together. And I'm really proud of them, especially because WWE tried to cancel it numerous times. After like 4 episodes, somebody from the YouTube team was like, listen, we don't want these on YouTube anymore. And I was like, why? And they were like, well, it's not doing great views. And I said, oh, really? So I took all of the videos and I analyzed the views and numbers and I compared it to all the other videos that WWE was putting on their YouTube. And if you actually compare it, our videos were in the top 3 of views every single week for original content on that channel. And I put that together in like a 5-page document and I sent it to the entire digital team. And after that, they didn't bother us anymore.
Yeah, I mean,
so yeah, it's always an uphill battle for the maximum male models.
yeah, I mean, there were some funny stuff in there. Like you were singing as well. Like, do you normally like? Can you actually properly like sing as well?
Yeah. I actually I didn't want to go to college. I wanted to wrestle, but my parents said if I didn't go to college, they would disown me. So I was like, well, what can I do that will help me be a professional wrestler? So I ended up taking up acting. I took up theater. I did musicals. I did plays. I had training and how to perform in front of a crowd, which it helped me in promos and just in sort of presentation in general in professional wrestling. So yeah, I do have a little bit of singing training.
Wow, yeah, and I guess you got to like show a little bit in WWE as well, and with the male stuff, did you have to like learn poses, or was that kind of just your kind of was that you just doing poses?
Yeah, Mace and I actually spent like an entire night watching YouTube videos of fashion shows. We actually did. We were training and studying the greats, looking at Dolce & Gabbana and Dior and all those like fun. I mean, some of them were really amazing, like production wise, and I wish we could have done something like that where there's like fire and like crazy production value, ribbons flying around, water fountains. But something that Mace always liked to do is he liked to mew. He liked to do this with his jaw. Just to strengthen his jaw muscles. So yeah, we went all in on that.
Yeah, and with this whole like model thing, where did it come from? Like who pitched it?
Oh, it was a total Vince McMahon idea. He's had the idea to do the models for like a year. Our writer told us that Vince would be in the writer's room and he would basically almost every week say, damn it, when are we going to get these male models? He wanted the models on the show every single week. I mean, he was like, when are the male models debuting? So eventually, me and Mace were doing nothing. And they told us, hey, you're a couple of good-looking guys. How do you feel about doing this model thing? And we were like, yeah, absolutely. Because we knew that whatever they gave us, we could have been juggling clowns. We could have been dancing plumbers. It wouldn't have mattered. We would have put everything we had into that gimmick, and we would have made it entertaining no matter what.
Yeah, no, and I think you did make it work. It just didn't have as much, time as well. And were you able to work with that idea with Triple H as well? Because I know it was Vince's idea. Did
Yes and no. I mean, so the problem with when all of that happened, right? We got
yeah.
2 weeks, 3 weeks of Vince pushing us as his baby. We were his last idea before he retired, the first time at least. And then when Hunter took over, we kind of knew, like, oh boy, like Hunter has his guys, Vince has his guys, and there's a clear separation. And we had no beef with Hunter at all. We wanted to talk to him and be like, listen, this model thing, we don't have to do it. We can do whatever you want. I mean, like, like I wanted to talk to Hunter so bad. I never really got the chance to do it one on one,
Yeah.
but I wanted to talk to Hunter so bad and say, listen, like Hunter, when you were my age, you were Hunter Hearst Helmsley wrestling in pig shit with Henry O. Godwin or Phineas I. Godwin, and you were pretending to have a British accent and you were doing like the bow. I was like, that's what we're doing right now. We're proving that we're good soldiers. We're proving that we can do what this company asks of us. But the moment you tell us, hey, go out there and be yourself, we'll do it and we'll rock your world. We'll make a ton of money for this company. But sadly, it just didn't really work out that way.
Yeah.
And then when Vince came back, that was right around the time Hunter started using us with the Otis storyline. And then that got kiboshed because of politics as well. So it was just a string of bad luck. But
Yeah.
of course, there's no heat with anybody. I'm happy to have worked with Hunter and worked with Vince. And yeah, you never know. Things could always change or go back to the way they were. But right now, I'm just happy to be going all over the world, wrestling for all the countries all over the world.
Yeah, no, I get that. And in WWE, what was it like backstage? With the fellow superstars. How was it backstage?
It was awesome. Everybody's super cool. We were backstage. We're playing Tekken. We're playing video games. We're filming Up, Up, Down, Down, which is always a blast. The Usos were super awesome. The New Day was super awesome. Karrion Cross, we love. God, there's a ton of guys. Ricochet, Bronson Reed. There's a ton of guys I'm probably forgetting, but we had a ton of friends, and we were always super happy to hang out with them.
Yeah, because I feel like when you were on Up Up Down Down, like when I first saw you on that show, I was like, you have like so much energy. Like, where did all that energy just like come from? I was like, you know what? It was hilarious. Like all this energy, all of a sudden, it's like, damn.
It was two parts that I just love to play video games, and
Yeah.
I just love to hang out with my friends. And the third part was that I was kind of frustrated because I felt that I was a top level. Excuse me, it's so funny I'm about to say this because I just messed up talking. But I thought that I was a top level talker. Top level talker, top level talker, top level talker. That's a mouthful.
That's
But
yeah,
I felt that if the company gave me more opportunities to cut promos and show my personality and a little bit of my charisma, I would have had an easier time getting over with the crowd. But sadly, I wasn't really getting a lot of chances to speak. So whenever I was on Up Up Down Down, I made sure to try and be as boisterous and as open with my personality as possible, so that WWE fans could see, well, there's a little more to this Mansoor guy
yeah,
than I thought there was.
yeah. Because that's what I thought. I think through that, I was like as well. Like you have the gift, to speak. I think as well, and it's just whatever happened. And what was like one of your favorite moments in WWE?
Oh, there's a ton to choose from. Of course, there's the match with Cesaro. I'm sorry, Claudio. There's the match with Mustafa. There's the Battle Royal. And then stateside, this was kind of an underrated era of mine. I really loved my run on 205 Live. I know a lot of people didn't watch it, but if you go back on Peacock and watch those like 8 or 9 episodes where I'm on 205 Live, I feel that I do some of my best work with guys like Anthony Green, who is, I believe, August Gray in 205 Live, Kurt Stallion. I had a great match with Brian Kendrick. I had a great match with Raul Mendoza. I think he's Cruz del Toro now. I had some work that I'm really proud of on 205 Live, and then of course my work with Ali. That was like a tremendous learning experience because he's a super ambitious, passionate guy
Yeah.
who's always going to try to get us on the show no matter what. He always had ideas. We always collaborated. I just talked to him for like 30 minutes today on the phone because even on the indies, we're trying to collaborate and work on stuff together. So yeah,
Yeah,
I loved working with him.
because I know he's coming to London, but would a show in London be a thing for you?
Of course, absolutely. I'm over on that side of the world because I'm doing a tour of the Middle East this year. So I'm definitely trying to stop by in the UK and figure out what I can do over there.
Yeah,
Absolutely, and Mace as well. I mean, we're tag teaming. We're continuing our tag team on the Indies, whether it's at Deadlock Pro Wrestling or GCW, and we're doing both. We're doing us as ourselves and us as the male models because As he likes to say, we swing both ways.
That is good. Oh yeah, and you know, you created history, right? As being like the first wrestler from Saudi to be in the WWE. What is that like? Like, what heritage does that bring to you?
I have a special appreciation for where I grew up, and what I really enjoyed about working for WWE and going back to Saudi Arabia was that I got to see all the changes that happened since I was gone. I moved when I was like 11 years old, so by the time I came back as an adult, so much had changed. I mean, like seeing boys and girls dating, going on dates. When there was a guy I knew in Saudi Arabia who went on a date with a girl, and when the Matawa, which is the religious police, when they found out that they weren't related, they took him in the back of a van and they lashed him. And now guys and girls are out there holding hands, and no PDA, no tongue stuff. But still, I mean, it totally blows my mind. Women driving. When I was a kid, my mom had to carry me in the rain because I was sick because my dad was at work and she had to go get medicine at a pharmacy. And a police officer pointed a gun at her, saying that she had to put her hijab on. And my mom telling him, "I don't have to do anything you say. I'm an American." Going back to our house, calling his supervisor and getting him fired for what he did. I mean, crazy shit like that would happen when I was a kid, and now it's just totally. I mean, not like completely different, but enough change to the point where I think people feel safer and more free to be themselves, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah. So, and you must have missed like going to America must be completely different. Like, what was it when you moved to America?
I mean, my mom is American, so I always kind of had that connection. We would visit my mom's side of the family in San Francisco, so it wasn't totally a foreign concept to me. But once I had realized that, oh wow, we're here to stay, it kind of became like, oh, what are my opportunities here? Because if I had still lived in Saudi Arabia, I probably would have never become a professional wrestler. But in San Francisco, the moment that I turned 18, I started training. I would bike after school every day to Oakland from my house in Alameda through a tunnel and for like 30 minutes. And I'd get to my training place and I would just train in a warehouse for like 3 hours every night because I loved it so much.
Yeah, and what was it like when you were training first? Was it quite nerve-wracking?
Totally, absolutely. My first night of training, I got knocked out. I woke up in a pool of my own blood.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
I did a drop down late, and the other guy, I got kneed in the face, totally blacked out, woke up, had blood all
Oh
over
my
my
God.
mouth. I couldn't move my jaw. This was like 3 days before Thanksgiving. I couldn't eat. I had to drink soup out of a
Oh my
bowl.
God.
But that didn't deter me. In my first
Yeah.
match, I got knocked out. I took a leg drop from the top rope. Boom, saw stars.
Yeah.
Thank God, thankfully, I haven't really had that issue since then. But when those kind of things happen to you, your first year in your career, a lot of guys, they give up because they don't want that kind of life. But it was never an option for me. It was always the thing that I wanted to do no matter what.
Yeah, and like that's like shows your mentality, right? And what do you feel like, when you step into the ring, what is your going through your head? Like, what mentality do you have?
I think my biggest weakness as a wrestler probably is my entrance because I don't feel like a wrestler until I start wrestling. There's always a warm up period for me whenever I'm in a match where the first couple of minutes I'm kind of feeling out who I am, who my opponent is, and what the crowd is like. That's actually part of another reason why WWE was so difficult because you only ever have short matches. I mean, the longest match I had was probably in Saudi Arabia for like maybe 14, 15 minutes. But on TV, you're lucky to get 6 minutes, let alone 10. So it's always kind of tough because I felt that I shined more as the matches went longer. But yeah, my entrance, I'm kind of tepid. I'm like feeling like, God, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I can do this. And then once I start to get going, that's when I feel fully confident that I am the wrestler that I know I am. And I get fully invested in the match.
Yeah, and do you have anything that helps you get into that, that character? Like, what do you do to help? Is it just like a mind process or?
It's tough because I haven't really found that process yet. I'm like 10 years into my professional wrestling career, and my warm-ups backstage, I do some stretches, I do some squats, I do some push-ups. I slap my face really hard. I try to exercise my face muscles so that I can fully emote. But there's nothing that really can get me into that headspace as good as actually just wrestling.
Yeah. And like what would your like daily what would you do in a day, like if you have a show or like you're going out to wrestling, like how would your day like start and end? Like
Depending on the call time, which is when we're supposed to be at the arena, I would usually wake up and work out, just so I can get kind of that pump, that kind of blood rushing through my muscles before I go to the show. I'll have a light breakfast. You don't want to eat too much because then you're in the ring like, "Bleh," you know.
Yeah,
But
because
you want food in your belly because you want energy to burn if you're working hard, and I do intend on working hard every time I work. But a lot of it, honestly, like especially in WWE, because you're supposed to get to the show like hours and hours before your match, before the show starts. So sometimes your body cools down too much, and
yeah.
you get tired, and like by the time the show starts, you haven't done any physical activity, so you got to warm yourself back up. So it can be tough for sure.
Yeah, no, I get that. And I guess with like your training and stuff, how often would you, train? Because I know obviously you're busy with shows and stuff, but how often would you train?
It's tough because the last thing you want to do is work out when you've flown 8 hours across the country or 12 hours across the world. And you get home and you just want to go to sleep. But I try to work out every day, at least 5 times a week. I'm very skinny naturally. Like
Yeah.
I was 170 pounds when I got signed, and now I'm about 200, 205 pounds. And I have to work really hard to maintain that weight, or else I just shrink back
Yeah.
down again. So I have to eat every 2 hours. I drink a ton of protein drinks. I do carb load ups with bagels, and chicken, rice. I'm working out almost every day. After I work out, I have to eat a bunch because that's when your metabolism is super hyperactive, and I have to maintain my weight. Honestly, that's the hardest part of the job. It's not wrestling. It's traveling and working out and eating right. Those three parts of wrestling are the hardest part. The wrestling is the fun part.
Yeah. It is because it's being a wrestler. It's not just obviously the wrestling, like you said. It's the traveling. There's so much more to it that people might not realize. Like people might just see, oh, it's a show to watch, but actually, in the background, like you're training probably like every day. You're traveling on the road. Like it's a hard career, right?
Absolutely. And honestly, the toil it takes on our bodies, the travel is worse than the actual wrestling. You're so stiff, and you're in this little airplane seat almost like every day that you're traveling. And my first match back at Hood Slam, I had to leave right after my match. I had to go right to the airport for a flight to New York City across the country. I didn't even get to shower. I could barely sleep. I slept for maybe an hour because I was still buzzing from my match, and I felt so like dirty. So it's tough, man. Yeah, you don't get a lot of time to rest.
No, yeah, I get that. And now you're kind of on this, like indie run. And when you heard the news of your release, like how did that make you feel? Like,
It's one of those things where you can kind of see it coming, but at the same time, and this is going to sound narcissistic and egotistical, I know. In my head, I was like, they would be very foolish to let me go. Because even though they may not have seen exactly what I'm capable of yet, they should know that there is the potential in me to do something great. As far as like as a performer, but especially as a speaker, as a communicator, as somebody who could represent the company, I felt I had a lot of value. At the same time, though, there is sort of a philosophy of, hey, these guys were not on TV. We have to repackage them totally, and it's time to make some cuts. We got to free up some budget. So who can we let go? My philosophy right now is I'm going to go out there and I'm going to prove just exactly what I could have been in WWE. And who knows, some company may pick me up. Maybe I'll go back to WWE. Maybe I'll go somewhere else. The only thing that matters to me is that I prove to the world just exactly what I can do. I'm thankful for my 5 years in WWE because it taught me so much. And now it's finally time to show what I've learned.
yeah, and that's the thing. Like, if in life, if this like kind of gets thrown at you, there is light at the end of the tunnel, and you will, do great things now, right? You will work this.
I was pretty pissed. I mean, I remember the day that I got fired, I was stewing. I mean, for like a month, every night I couldn't go to sleep because I was just so bitter. I
Yeah.
was angry. I was like, why would they do that? Like, I know again this sounds so egotistical, but it's like, God, if they just talked to any of the producers that I worked with or any of the writers that I worked with, I was somebody that could do so much for this company. But then at a certain point I was like, God, you know what? I remember my wife looked at me and she was like, I know you're hurting and I know it's hard because this was your dream job, but I promise you, Mansoor, this is going to be the best thing that ever happened for your career. And I think she's 100% right. Now that I'm out, I'm certainly not making nearly as much money, but
Yeah.
I'm making enough to support my family, and more importantly, I'm happy. I'm fulfilled. I'm having the kind of matches and cutting the kind of promos that I always wanted to have and I always wanted to cut, and I'm finally getting to show what I'm really capable of. And I think in the end, it's going to pay off.
Yeah, because I mean, once you got released, you've cut like two promos now. Like I know you cut one at the beginning of this year, and like it's showcasing like you are a good, you can cut a good promo. So now you're able to show that ability, right?
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes you have to do it yourself. I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes you can't just wait for the opportunity that has to be given to you. I mean, if I had to go back, and I try not to think about what I could have done, but if I had to go back, I would do more of that, where I just put out my own promos on Twitter and I just
Mm,
put out my own videos. And the hard part about working in WWE is because you're technically a free agent, but not really, you don't get to just go out and wrestle anywhere else to have that creative outlet. There are guys in AW and TNA who get to wrestle on the indies and have those kinds of matches. But in WWE, there were stretches of time where I wasn't having a match for months. And as a wrestler, that really tortures your soul because like that's what you dreamed of doing in the largest professional wrestling company in the world. You're at the top of your profession, and you're not getting to do the thing that you're getting paid for. It can definitely cause a little bit of psychological damage.
yeah, because and I wanted to ask because I there was a video of you and Mace in like black suits, and I don't know if that was a pitch that you guys were gonna do. What was that about? I know like you were in a car and you were trying to either pay off a referee or something. Was that a pitch that you went to WWE with, or?
Yeah, so after we were told the Maximum Male Models was dead and gone, they said, we're going to totally repackage you guys. We're going to keep you together. What were you thinking? And I said, okay, I have two big pitches. We're going to film both. We're going to film fully produced vignettes. One was that pitch you were talking about, which was inspired by Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction. The idea was that we were going to be in suits and we were going to be called the Fixers, and basically wrestlers could hire us to fix their problems. Kind of like the APA were like bodyguards for hire. We were guys who could intimidate referees, intimidate general managers, intimidate other wrestlers, attack them before the match, just to make sure for money that our client was happy and successful. So what we did is I rented a limousine with my own money on prom weekend. It was super expensive because prom was that weekend. So I rented a limousine. We got our friend Andrew Carr, who helped us produce Making It Maximum, and we made that vignette. And we also made a vignette that was a infomercial for a multi-level marketing scheme called The Answer. We were trying to pitch as a cult, kind of like Scientology. We wanted to start like a cult based around self-help. So it would be an actual commercial that airs during Raw where you can buy this self-help program, like a book called The Answer, where it was, it's like, or not The Answer, it was called The Answer, yeah, because I was thinking of The Secret. That was the book that I was thinking of, The
Yeah.
Secret, where it's kind of like, here's how you can manifest your dreams to become a reality. And that was the one actually, because we actually flew to Connecticut to WWE headquarters to pitch to the creative team directly. They loved The Answer. They wanted The Miz to be like our Tom Cruise, where he would be a super invested member of our clergy. And he'd jump up on the couch on the MVP lounge, the VIP lounge, and he'd talk about how amazing and how we've changed his life. And we wanted to recruit guys like Riddick Moss, Madcap Moss, and say that the people close to him, like Emma, who was saying, hey, I don't think you should be hanging around these guys. I think it's a scam. Oh, Riddick, you shouldn't be talking to Emma. She's a suppressive person. She's trying to hinder your potential. So we would basically alienate people from their family and friends so that all they would have is our cult. It was supposed to be a different take on the cult because in wrestling, I think all the cults we've seen are like guys in hoods and they're like,
Yeah.
like satanic stuff. But I think real cults in real life are more about the almighty dollar.
Yeah.
They liked it, but sadly, things happened the way they did. I'm still happy that we got to show it because we showed it after we got released and people really liked it.
Yeah, and maybe now that you're a free agent, you might have the opportunity to actually do it now, right? You
Yeah,
never
sure.
know. You know,
Sure, you never know.
you never know. And I wanted to ask you, a question. Being from like an ethnic background and doing pro wrestling, do you think it's harder for people like us from ethnic backgrounds? Do you think it's a bit harder?
I would say so, mostly because, particularly with people from backgrounds where there isn't an established track record of success in the field, our families tend to have a harder time understanding how it's a viable career path. We see it a lot in acting as well, where certain ethnic groups have a hard time breaking into acting because they don't have the support from their families. My mom and my dad wanted me to be a doctor or a lawyer. So,
Yeah.
and then eventually they would even have rather have me been an actor than a wrestler. But once I got signed to WWE, they were like, "Oh, this is actually something you can succeed in." It's just that families they don't know. And of course, when you're in a field like pro wrestling or acting, where you're trying to, in order to make a lot of money, appeal to as many people as possible, and you don't reflect how most people in the country look, it can be difficult to break into that territory. That's why so many ethnic wrestlers are heels, because there is no greater fear than the other. And when you're somebody that doesn't look like a fan, the fan will go, oh, instantly they're lizard brain. They're like, oh, I don't know if I like this guy. I don't trust him. You have to earn their trust, and it's much more difficult than you would if you were, say, Anglo-Saxon American. And, that's not sour grapes. That's just the reality of how psychology works. Luckily, I think that's changing quite a bit as people meet more and more, have more friends of people from diverse backgrounds, and are exposed to people of more diverse backgrounds in all the media they consume. So, yeah, that's how I feel about that.
Yeah, so, and I know, like, being obviously a heel and from a ethnic background is probably a bit easier, but do you think getting over as a face is a bit more harder then?
Oh, 100%. It's so much easier to make people hate you than make people love you, especially when it's your first time. I remember doing a house show as a babyface, just as the Saudi guy, Mansoor. I did a house show, and God, you could not get that crowd to care about me one bit. But Maximum Male Models, even though we were barely on TV, we came out and people instantly knew how to feel about us. So yeah, being a heel is way easier. In the ring, it's actually harder. You have to work harder because heels kind of control the flow of the match. But as far as connecting with the crowd, being a heel is much easier.
Yeah, no, I get that because we've had I guess a few characters through ethnic backgrounds, but I guess many of them haven't been, like let's say world champions, right? Would you want to become like one of the very few to become a world champion?
Yeah, of course. I would love to be a world champion. To me, I think people put a lot of value on championships because I think wrestling has kind of fooled people into believing that if you win a title, it's because you deserve it. That isn't necessarily true in every case. In some cases, it absolutely is. There are guys who work their asses off for decades and finally get a shot at a world title and win it and have a run, and it's absolutely because they deserve it. But then way more often than that, there are guys who win the title because that's what makes the most sense from a marketing and financial perspective. So that's something important to consider. I never really was somebody who was obsessed with how many titles I could win, how many belts I could own, because in my opinion, the most prestigious and most valuable thing you can collect in professional wrestling is stories and great matches and great moments. If your resume is including great moments that people remember forever until the day they die, then in my opinion, you will have had a successful career, even if you never won a belt.
Yeah, no, I get that, and they're quite a pain to carry around, right? They're
Big time.
Yeah, they're quite
you gotta
heavy.
Travel. You
They're
gotta
quite
fly, and God forbid you win the Money in the Bank briefcase because then you're fucked.
Yeah, I mean the belts are quite heavy. Like I have one at home, but it's massive, and it's like
Yeah.
for you guys to like be able to carry that in your like luggage just must be, a pain.
Brutal. You're not gonna get an extra pair of pajamas in your bag because you got this big friggin' lug of metal in there.
Yeah, I know. But I know it means like representing your like company and all of that. But now, guys, are you ready for a game, Mansoor?
Oh yeah, please.
Yeah. So how this game will work? It's a little promo game. So I have a few objects next to me, and you will have to cut like a 15-second promo about them. Yeah.
Oh boy, this is like something we did in the PC. This is how they train us.
Wow. So you ready?
Yeah, sure.
So the first one I have, which one should I pick? I'm gonna actually pick a bag of M&M chocolates.
M&Ms.
M&M.
M&Ms.
Yeah.
M&Ms. Are you M or are you M? M&Ms. Listen up, M&Ms. Okay, you're not even the most famous M&M in the world. The rapper is a far better M&M than you. You're a number 2 M&M. And let's not forget Mason I's tag team MXM. M&M, when you meet us in the ring at Great Balls of Fire, we will show to you that as far as a duo of M's are concerned, MXM is the number 1 in the world.
Whew, that was wicked. Ready? Next object is a pair of sunglasses.
A pair of sunglasses. A pair of sunglasses. Let me tell you
Yeah.
something right now. I know about glasses. I know that glasses help people see. And God bless glasses. Sunglasses, you are completely redundant. Because if your eyes are so weak that you can't stare directly into the sun like I can, and I can look at that son of a bitch for hours because I am mentally and physically strong. I don't need a pair of sunglasses to look at the sun and say, son of a bitch, I'm going to come and kick your ass.
Wicked. We got two more, and next is bottle of water.
Bottle of water. That's tough because I actually love water. Let me see that bottle of water again. Let me take a look at that son of a bitch. A bottle of
Evian water.
Let me tell you something right now, bottle of water. You are redundant. In 2024, nobody wants a piece of you because guess what? We got reusable, refillable water bottles. This guy right here, I get to customize him. I get to decorate him with stickers. Tell you what I'm going to do to you, bottle of water. I'm going to take you and I'm going to do to something I can't do to this reusable water bottle. I'm going to crush you. I'm going to squeeze you until you're this short. You think you're so tall with your giant Evian bottle. I'm going to crush your ass and throw you in the trash. Well, recycling.
Yeah. And last one, it's my business card.
Your business card?
The Rohan plus one show.
The Rohan plus one show. Let me tell you something right now. Business card, I got a lot of respect for you. Okay, you represent a great show and a great host. But let me tell you something right now. You step up to me, you try to give me a paper cut, I'm gonna take your ass and I'm gonna tear it in half. That's right, I'm gonna split you up into so many pieces and scatter you across the wind. You're never gonna be able to recover.
That is amazing. Oh my god, I love. How'd you do it? How'd you do this?
It's just years and years of practicing in front of a mirror.
Yeah, because see, you have such good, promo skills. Like it's unbelievable.
You so much. Thank you.
Like,
I appreciate that.
I love that. That was really fun. And
thank you.
We're actually gonna just do one more little quick game, one more little one, just to
Of course.
Just to end the show. And this one's a bit different because it's going to be guess the lyrics of the entrance theme song.
Oh, please. I'm going to crush this. Are you kidding me?
Really? I've only got 5, but...
All right.
When,
5 out of 5.
Well, yeah, you've got it.
Let's go.
So I'm just going to read the first line, yeah?
Okay.
So the first one, I came to play.
Miz.
Yep. Miz, nice. If you want to finish the song off, you're more than welcome to.
I came to play. There's a price to pay. You better get down on your knees and pray. Say goodbye to the good old days.
Yeah. What? There. Next one. I'm just gonna get my. I wrote them down. So.
Okay, please.
Yep. It's in my hands. I must not fail. I must not fail.
Even through the darkest days. This fire burns always. That's CM Punk's best theme.
Thank you so much. At least I'm not the only one that prefers.
I love Cult of Personality, but as a kid, I had Kill Switch Engage on my iPod.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. It's one of the best songs. It's a good gym song as well.
100%.
Number 3. Oh, it's time to rock.
Rock and roll. Oh, this time I'm in control. That's Trish. That's
Yes. This one. Okay. Get ready to.
Get ready to.
Yeah.
Hold on. Get ready to. Get ready to. Get ready to fly. You are.
Yes, you got it. I am.
AJ
Yeah.
Styles. TNA.
You got it.
You tried to trip me up because I thought this was all going to be WWE.
No, see, and there had to be one. There had to be one.
You almost got me. You almost got me. But I'm good. I'm getting all 5. I told you.
See, well, the last one is probably the easiest one, to be fair, but it's the best one. On this day,
I see clearly everything has come to light. Oh my god, dude. Actually, Metalingus Alter Bridge, that may be the greatest wrestling theme song of all time.
Yep. I was gonna, so that's my one. Is that your one as well?
I think it is. I really think it is. I think it's the GOAT.
Yeah, I mean, like, entrance music in general plays such a big part, in someone. Like, is there any artist you would like to have make a song for you?
God, that's a great question. I really... Music has always been something that I have had a hard time with because I don't really know like on the indies, they're like, "Oh, what song do you want to come out to?" And I'm like, "I don't know." They would always just come up with it for me because I don't really see myself as somebody that comes out to Linkin Park or Alter Bridge.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like a
yeah,
badass song.
That
Well, me and Mason and I, when we're a tag team, we come out to Death Grips, which is like one of my favorite artists. It's like a experimental rap group that we saw live that are super cool. But I'm in the process of talking to somebody, a very famous internet artist who's
Ooh.
working on a song. So I'm not gonna say who. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not gonna
Don't spill the
reveal,
beans
but
just yet.
I am teasing that we are working on something new.
That would be wicked. Like, you know, I think a cool entrance helps the wrestler, right?
100%.
You know, like, and then you ideally want people to start singing to your, you know,
Oh,
like,
big time.
you know, your entrance, because you know that plays such a part. And Mansoor, thank you so much for, you know, coming on the show today. It's, you know,
Thank
been a
you.
blast.
It was a pleasure.
You know, especially, you know, from, you know, because I'm from London as well. It's been great doing, like, this is actually my first like virtual episode, and it's been great, you know, chatting to you, you know, and if you're ever in London, enjoy it, you know.
Thank you.
You know, I mean, I saw there was a clip just to end on where you do like a British accent on up, up, down, on
This
up,
is
down.
awesome.
Yeah, that's it.
Fight forever.
Yeah, that's
Come
how
on, England, score some fucking goals.
yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait to go to the UK and just shit on the crowd and
Oh,
just
yeah.
shout in a British accent the whole time.
Because they're really rowdy here, and
Yeah,
you'll
they're
find
gonna
out the
love
hard
it.
way.
They're gonna love it. I can't wait.
So, to end off the show, we can't leave without doing a little model pose. So,
Oh,
Mansoor,
boy.
when you're ready, ready?
Are you doing it with me? Are you doing it with me?
Yeah, we're gonna do it together.
All right,
We're gonna
so
do.
you have to turn away and then turn towards the camera.
Yeah, ready?
All right, give me a countdown.
3, 2, 1.